Andrew, thank you for taking the time out to join us today.
Great pleasure.
Well, how
Good
does
to
it feel?
be
First of
here.
all, how is it trading from home?
Oh well, it's quite interesting and totally not unique in that sense. Even though you've got to have more people doing that on a compulsory level now, and the reason being that the stock exchange had long provided avenues for remote trading or trading on the go, as you may wish to say it. So it's an adjustment phase, and I think we're settling to it quite
Oh,
all right.
okay, let's talk about today's trading, and it looks like the market continues to be in recovery mode. The OSHA index appreciated today, and we saw just looking at the broad view of the market performance today. The banking, consumer goods, and industrials are all appreciated today. Just talking about the NSE banking, NSE consumer goods, and
Yeah.
NSE industrials. Looks like there's some bargain hunting going on here by investors. What can you tell us?
Absolutely. It is also expected, given the fact that a lot of these stocks, like we keep saying, have suffered great diminution in value in terms of prices. And so you find investors who actually got frightened by the lackluster performance in the preceding weeks, and given the hue and cry around the issues of coronavirus, issues that have culminated into economies of the world coming to a halt or near, lockdown in perfect sense. So those who still have resources within their ambit are taking advantage, certainly with a longer-term view in perspective. And that is part of what we're beginning to see playing out in the market space. So bargain hunting is a key driver. And if you look at the names, especially from the banking space, you find the likes of GT, Zenith, FCMB, UBA playing some leading role in these price spikes. We've had a bit of that in the course of this week. I do think that some of them may still have acronym in their pricing.
Now, Andrew, we're still not out of the woods because
Yes.
just looking at the coronavirus, the pandemic, no one knows when it's going to end. And at this point, no one can really quantify the economic fallout or damage that, is going to, what we're going to see when this is all over. And I know that especially foreign investors here in Nigeria, have pretty much taken their money out of the market. But would you say that at this time we would see local and domestic investors stepping up? And, I suppose the bargain hunting we're seeing right now is by domestic investors. But at what point do you think we might see or do you expect this to continue? For how long would investors continue this bargain hunting?
Yeah, if you look at the international response to the issues around the COVID-19 issues, I think the telling story in all of this is that every person needs to look back inwards and then begin to think how substantially they can determine their future. One of the key indicators to my mind as a fallout of this development is the fact that if you're waiting for somebody from outside to come and redeem your situation or rejig your situation, you're unlikely to find that salutary in the longer term. So right now what we're seeing is everybody to his tent. And therefore, yes, what we are experiencing now is some local participation. We do hope that when normalization takes place, and like you rightly pointed out, none of us has an idea when that will be. But while that lasts, opportunities that are within your reach, you can cash in on them and tweak your expectations in terms of, gestation of holding your assets. Indeed, what investors need to look beyond the currency of the moment is the valuations. And if they present decent values, like quite a number of them do, a tweak in your horizon will certainly do some good. And I think that is part of what is playing out. We do not expect a quick return, of FPIs, as it were, because they've just taken flight to safety or to at least just hold some level of liquidity. But all of that, in the course of time, hopefully, at the time that the story of Corona is over, we will all come back to say, where did we live? and then what else can we do? But closing eyes at opportunities now certainly wouldn't do much good.
Now, I know that investors are also keeping an eye on the government, both at the state and the federal level, in terms of how the measures being taken to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Right now, we're in a 7-day partial lockdown. Would you say that there is confidence in the markets and the ability of the authorities, especially from a capacity point of view, to help curtail this virus so that it doesn't spiral out of control? Right now, we have around 65 confirmed cases, 1 death, and 2 have recovered so far. The government tells us that we might have 6 on the way who will be discharged soon. We're still trying to confirm that. But, I mean, the market obviously is digesting all of that. Does that inspire some kind of confidence going forward that at least at some point, at some level, we do have a hold over this thing?
I think, generally that in terms of the health issues and policies that have so far been enunciated by government, there are steps in the right direction. I don't think they're just reactionary or knee-jerk, so to say, or a mere response on a bandwagon, side. They're specific, they're tailor-made, and we're getting, all kinds of reports of individuals that are involved, both the low and the high, and all are being attended within the realm of the facilities that are being provided. But that said, it does not mean that we're at the optimal. Of course, even the larger economies are not totally out of it. So we expect a lot more campaigns around this in terms of, people getting to know the issue of awareness is key. For centers like Lagos, where some level of facilities are quite high and apt, it's encouraging, but I am not sure that the same story permeates the entire space of our nation. So that's on the the health side. In terms of the economics of this, I think there's still a lot more to do to give markets the necessary succor that is necessary to keep the market afloat. One of the things some economists have done or have decided to do is to ensure that government takes specific action with respect to the holding of assets. In other words, you can warehouse certain assets and ensure that the values do not just get drained, but largely out of panic or fear, rather than the true valuation of these assets. And if that does happen, it has a cushioning effect, because on the one side, they would thin out the level of distraction from those